As I started Rise to be able to help the today millennial generational leader grow their business properly. And obviously it transcends that generation. It transcends all generations because it's an operating system. But there's some uniqueness about it. And we focus heavy on process. We focus heavy on KPIs. We focus heavy on navigating each stage of business.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hey, welcome back to the show. Your host, Todd Dexheimer. I'm excited to have Gary Harper. Gary, how are you doing today?
Good, man. Todd, thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. I appreciate you joining us. And Gary is the CEO of Harper Business Solutions, co-creator of the Rise Business Framework. And he's got over 11 years of executive experience at a Fortune 500 company. Gary specializes in evaluating operational expenses and driving efficiencies for businesses. And since 2004, he combined that expertise in business systems and with his passion for real estate investing, helping entrepreneurs scale their business effectively. So Gary's really just helping businesses grow and improve and become unstoppable. So Gary, with that said, give our listeners a bit more kind of about your background, and then we'll dive into what you guys are doing over at Harper.
Well, Todd, thanks for the warm welcome. I've heard about you for many years now, and you've been a staple in this real estate community for a while too. So thanks for your service and giving back and providing services like this podcast, help educate people and how to grow properly, because at the end of the day, we're all trying to get there together. So I appreciate that very much, Todd. Thanks for having me on. I started my career in early, or let's say late 1990s, early 2000s in corporate America. About the same time I started like tasting real estate. My brother-in-law took me in. I moved from Virginia to Indiana, is where I live now, and didn't have a good start. Actually, got my GED, dropped out of high school. Mom and dad were kind of sick of the mess ups I was causing in life, so. My brother-in-law showed grace and was like, I'll put you in one of my rentals and you can like keep it protected from people stealing copper and, things like that. So as we rehabbed houses, I lived at them. I lived in them to keep people from breaking in and stealing. They weren't in the greatest of areas, to be honest, So, he helped me protect myself. He gave me like a Glock 9mm or 38 special. It was like, here's a cot or a bed on the floor.
Sleep with that under your pillow.
Yeah, and he's like, and this is to protect yourself with. So he's like, and you can pay me back by working in these houses with me during the day and rehabbing them. Why go to Chicago and do my normal job? But I found myself like doing that for a while, and then I went into corporate America, and that's where I really started to get my feet under me. I became an executive by the age I was 21 years old. I was a national manager of business initiatives and development, and then worked my way up in a Fortune 500 company. Had over 750 employees throughout the Midwest and a lot of mid-level management. Became an expert on systems and processes. Actually learned from GE on Six Sigma. Learned a lot from them on that, and I started applying that to my business ventures as well. 2004, I decided to start offsetting taxes with passive income, and that's kind of what brought me back into real estate again. And started buying a lot of houses to buy and hold and rent them out. That led me into starting a property management company, and I had a property management company with that brother-in-law I talked about, and we had hundreds of doors that we managed along with our own. And then 2008 hit us pretty hard, like it did a lot of entrepreneurs.
A lot, yeah.
I bought all my rentals at like 100% loan to value, not really understanding the whole thing at that time. And so you obviously remember that time. We went under, we were way underwater on loan to value. And then a couple that make it a little worse. Northwest Indiana decided to reassess our taxes, which were 2 years in the rear, and all of our escrows exploded. They're like, oh, we're going to have to over accrual to make up the deficit and then to make up the deficit for future. So taxes went from like in these $50,000 to $100,000 homes from like $500 to $800 a month. I'm sorry, $500 to $800 a year to like $10,000 a year. It was crazy what they did when they reassessed. I think they actually got in trouble for it, actually, but looking back on it. But, we were way under an escrow. So, like, my payments ballooned. And so I couldn't, market's crashing. I can't sell. I'm way underwater. I can't afford to even make the payments to the bank with the rent that I'm getting anymore. And I found myself giving every dime I collected to the local bank that I was had my loans through. They didn't make it. I didn't make it. And we ended up filing bankruptcy in 2011.
Hmm.
It was actually the first year, along with losing my real estate, was the year I got bit by a tick, came down with Lyme disease. And so, Todd, I always call that my year of Job. If you ever study Bible, you study Job, and he lost his wealth, he lost his success, he lost his health, he lost it all. I lost everything but my kids, really. At that point in my life, I lost my career as a corporate exec. I'd won Executive of the Year 8 out of 10 years. Matter of fact, I still have a lot of the awards right here from these years of winning and being Executive of the Year. But I'll tell you, man, it was the best thing that ever happened to me. Filing bankruptcy that year, losing it all, losing my health. It actually led me to a point of like really being humbled. And I found myself like, asking like what was my purpose and where was I going to go? My brother-in-law, who I had been talking about so far, he said to me, he's like, Gary, I don't think God took you out of corporate just to put you right back in it as I started to heal. And I went ahead and went back to work with him, and we started wholesaling, kind of to keep our exposure down so that we didn't lose again. We were licking the wound still of like holding a bunch of properties and losing on them. So we started wholesaling, and we did it a little different. We double closed. We used our money to buy it, and then we would then reassign it after we closed, or reclose on it. But that's what we did. And we did that. We built that up to 5 states, 300 deals a year by 2016.
Hmm.
And
Wow.
we joined a couple masterminds and that kind of thing. And honestly, what happened was I never really loved real estate. Real estate's never been a passion for me. It's what it gives me. When we talk about wealth, that's what it gives me. It gave me wealth. And wealth gives us a lot of things. Wealth gives us freedom, right? Right? Having wealth, it gives us the ability to choose what we do
Right.
with our time. And I think that's what freedom is. At the end of the day, freedom is the ability of choice. What do we do with our time? And that gave me that. Wealth gave me the ability to choose 300 deals a year, making that money, putting it aside, passive income, active income. At that point, we were back into both. And I found myself like being, called upon. People started calling me and saying, "Hey, you built this team, you made good money, you rebuilt." And what I'd done at that point is I'd merged my corporate experience with my business entrepreneurship. And so I was able to like build a team and like go and have success. And so through these mastermind stuff, people start calling me and asking me to help them. And that's where Sharper was born. Sharper was born out of that. It wasn't because I wanted to coach. It wasn't because I needed the money. It wasn't because I was looking to build wealth. It was honestly because at the end of the day, I needed to give back and help other people. I had made a promise to God. I said, God, if you give me my life back, I'll give it back to helping other people. And I felt like He did. I felt like I'd reached a place of wisdom and a place of wealth. Wisdom and wealth are a good combination. And I said, okay, well, now that I have some wealth and I can give of my time, and now that I have the wisdom of winning and losing, I could give of my knowledge. And so that's why I started Sharper. Fast forward now, it's been 10 years. We've helped over 4,000 entrepreneurs in the last 10 years. We're in 9 countries, 14 businesses. The Rise Business Framework was born out of that because people needed a framework in order to operate on. And I think there's a lot of good frameworks out there. You have Scaling Up and Make Big Happen, The Advantage by Patrick Lencioni. You have EOS. A lot of entrepreneurs use that. And I don't fault any of them. I don't say any of them are bad. They're all founded out of the Rockefeller habits and what Rockefeller really did. But the Rise Business Framework is a different approach. It's for today's millennial leader. All the systems were written back when the world was run by the baby boomers, and we jumped over my generation, probably your generation too, if you're an X. But millennials took over the workforce heavy in 2020.
Yep.
And we started seeing a great resonation happen. People leaving their jobs and forfeiting their pay even to chase purpose. And 67% of the people who quit their job in the Great Resignation cited the lack of emotional paychecks. And so that's why I started Rise. I started Rise to be able to help the today millennial generational leader grow their business properly. And obviously it transcends that generation. It transcends all generations because it's an operating system. But there's some uniqueness about it. And we focus heavy on process. We focus heavy on KPIs. We focus heavy on navigating each stage of business, where a lot of these operating systems, either entrepreneurial operating, they focus on the entrepreneur, where some of them focus on expansion, scaling, and things like that. And others focus on sustainability, like Scrum and 13-week year and things like that. But Rise really brought in together all five stages of companies or all five stages of business. Harvard Business Review said there are five stages of business growth. And so Rise is one of those bridges from stage to stage. So we have five stages. We need a bridge to bridge each stage. And the first bridge I find is resources. Second bridge is inspiration. Third bridge is systems. And the last bridge is engagement or expansion. And so that's what RISE stands for. And so, Todd, to answer your question, I think it was a little long-winded, but I think that kind of gives your audience the gist of what we are and what we do and how we come to where we got here today.
Yeah, well, we're gonna dive in. First of all, kudos for going through everything you went through. Bro, I'm sure you're getting your butt kicked starting in about what 2008 all the way through the bankruptcy in 2011 to the Lyme disease in 2011. Let's talk quickly about working your way through just getting your butt handed to you, just
Mm.
completely getting beat down. You had to file bankruptcy. You're going through, this major health scare, uh, and lose your job, lose your life as you know it is completely changed and disrupted. But you picked yourself back up and you've created something out of that pretty amazing. Just take me through kind of that time and the mind space and did you do anything to get yourself out of that and maybe how long did it take uh in that whole process?
I mean, from the time that I got bit to the time that I was probably started on recovery was a little over a year, about 14 months.
Hmm.
It took a good 8 months just to figure out what was wrong. I mean, it started off kind of weird. I honestly thought I was having a mental breakdown. I had all the
Hmm.
stress of corporate America. I had probably five executive clients of mine, Fortune 500 companies that were going out to what we call RFP, which was request for pricing. They were looking at other companies to come in and consult and help them with their business process management and systems and things like that. And so I was under a lot of stress. I was on a lot of pressure and I just lost everything in real estate, as you stated. Um, I think you find out who you are in those times. And I'll be honest with you, man. I don't know that I knew who I was prior to that. I think I was still discovering it. But I think you find out what you're made of. And I found myself, some really good days, some really dark days. If we're being transparent with your listeners today, like every day wasn't like I'm going to conquer this. There were days I just wanted to end it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be done.
Yeah.
I had to find myself like living, in the moment. My wins were just little steps throughout the day. It wasn't, you can't like, oh, I'm going to go conquer this and I'm going to go do that now. I'm going to build this and I'm going to figure out a way out of that. Like it was enough for me just to take a shower, just to get out of bed.
Hmm.
And so wins for me was like, did I make it back to bed? I remember honestly, Todd, one of the worst, parts of this whole thing was I went 14 days without sleep at one point.
Wow.
Like I didn't wink. I was zombied. I mean, I was not doing it. What had happened was the Lyme had attacked my nervous system. I was having about 26 panic attacks a day. On average, I was having them, every time even when I would fall asleep, I'd wake up in a panic attack. My nervous system was just really ravished and
Did you
not doing
know
well.
during that time that you had limes or were you still
Uh-uh.
you're just
No, actually, the first sign of Lyme was, and I got bit on the back of my neck, my C5, my C6. I just felt really off. I woke up, I was home alone. I was home with my kids that day. They were young. They were like fifth grade and seventh grade, and they're married now with kids, their own. But I remember getting up, trying to take a shower that morning, just feeling a little off, thinking just going to get in the shower today and see what happens. And in the shower, I was washing my hair and I felt like tingling in my hands. I felt tingling in my face, and I was like, man, I felt dizzy. And I thought, honestly, what I thought was I slept wrong and created like a nerve thing in my neck, and it was causing that. That had happened before. But then the dizziness was new. And then I thought, okay,
Mm.
well, maybe the water's too hot. Maybe I'm overdoing it in the heat because I love a hot shower. I'll get out and just beat red. That's how much I love a hot shower. So all right. So I step out of the shower for a second, collect myself. I'm like checking my vitals and thinking in my brain, am I okay? I'm like, all right, well, I gotta get the soap out of my head. So I get back in the shower, and literally I felt a wave of it just hit me. I felt myself passing out. So I got out of the shower and laid on the floor. And I remember like feeling my muscles clamp up. I remember like everything tightening up in my system. I could feel my heart hitting the floor. You could just feel the heartbeat that it was just running at a pace. And I thought I was having a heart attack, is what I thought I was having. At the time, my son runs in and, he had heard me hit the floor. He covered me with a blanket. My daughter runs next door. They were having something going on with Nextel at the time. We couldn't make phone calls. It was like they were changing towers or something. So she runs next door. The cops off, house, and a guy named Damien lived next door. He comes over, calls 911, starts treating me. And then they take me away, take me in an ambulance, and I get to the hospital, and they're like running all these tests, and they're like, bro, there's nothing wrong with you. I'm like, man, something wrong with me. I left home at 16 years old, 17 years old. I lived on my own. I ate at the mission every day. I walked to work. Like I've been really independent. And this is like, this is executive, won all these awards. And I'll tell you, man, this was not a normal feeling for me. So I was like, something's wrong. And they sent me home. They were like, maybe you just didn't drink enough water. Like, we don't see anything wrong. There's nothing emergency here. But I felt like I was in a fog mentally for about 2 days. Like I just couldn't process my thoughts. Went back to work, and I would be at work, and I'd feel that same feeling coming over me that I felt in the shower. I'd have to go sit down. I go to, I go to the bathroom, sit on the toilet, and literally have a panic attack just sitting there having the same symptoms. And I'm like, I'm not going back to the hospital because they told me there's nothing wrong. And then probably what did it for me, I was driving home and south side of Chicago, and I had to pull over, park my car, and call 911. And I got taken to the University of Chicago, same thing, nothing wrong with you. And it was about 6, 8 months. I finally went to a doctor and I sat down in front of him and I was like, hey man, I don't know what's going on. Like, I'm just going to tell you, maybe I'm having a nervous breakdown, whatever. Everybody kept trying to give me Xanax and all these things to help with it. And kept telling me there's nothing wrong. And he said, well, let's just go through it. And he started going through my blood work. And he was talking to me about like, what I'd done that year. I'd won executive of the year. I cut my toe open in Jamaica on Coral Reef. And so he tested me for some things that could have gotten from the water. And then he's like, anything else happening this year? Get bit by a dog? I'm like, well, I got bit by a tick in May. And he was like, oh, let's go there. Let's talk about that. So he's like, when did all this start? And I'm like, honestly, it started about 3 weeks after I got bit by that tick. And it was just the way it bit me. It bit me in my literally in my neck and got into my C5, my C6. I had ruptured the disc, which is why I was having the tingling in my hands. And so I had an MRI. It showed damage to my disc. And he's like, man, I think you got Lyme disease, but we're going to test you. So he sent it off for a test, and it came back false positive. And then I did a Western blot test, and it came back that I had some markers for Babesia and Epstein-Barr and things like that that are all co-infections to Lyme. And he's like, bro, like you got Lyme. It's deep. It's in your system. And he's like, I don't know what we're gonna have to get you an infectious disease doctor. And I did all this stuff after that. But man, getting through that time was brutal, like absolutely brutal. 13 days without sleeping because my nervous system was shot and my adrenal glands were burned out. I'd take Benadryl and sleep for like 30 minutes and then wake up, and just mentally not there. I remember jumping out of the car going 30 miles an hour. I just didn't want to be alive anymore. It was a bad time. It was a really bad time in my life. And poor kids and wife and people love me around me at that time just didn't know what to do. I had friends that were my friends for life kind of just walk away because they were like, I don't know what to do for you. And every time they got around me, all I did was talk about how I didn't feel good. And so, I got through that and I came out on the other side. I found a doctor in Washington State and a book called Why Can't I Get Better? Dr. Richard Horowitz. And I took the things back to my doctor that they were recommending I do. And I slowly started to come out of it. It took me a good year to get everything healthy again.
Wow.
Um, But getting on the other side of that, I had a choice to make. I was like, do I go back to corporate America? They had held my job for me for over a year. Or do I start my hand at this real estate thing again? And, those words by my brother-in-law, God didn't take you out of corporate just to put you right back in it, resonated really, really deep with me.
Yeah.
And I had lost everything, and I found it as a way to be able to get back to building my wealth back. And wealth is a lot. It means a lot of things to me, but that's where it left me, was getting back on the other side of that. And all I can tell you and your listeners at this point is, I have a tattoo right under my arm right here, and it's you got to keep going. It wasn't about the big wins in that moment. It was about sitting up on the side of the bed. It was about being able to put one pants leg in my jeans and the other pants leg on my other leg. And it was about taking one step and then taking another step and making it into the living room. It was about being having enough courage to be able to go outside and walk around outside without the feeling of having a panic attack. It was about the feeling of after 12 months finally getting behind a car and driving again.
Yep.
It was about the feeling of like I can make something of my life again. It was a compound effect of little things. But one other thing I gotta tell you, man, is if you or your listeners are facing struggle at any part in your life, you gotta keep going. And you gotta count your success as small steps. Because
Yeah.
it's
So
the
many people.
compound effect of those small steps that lead you back to where you get to the edge of your bed at night and you go, man, I made it.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
made it.
I always, I don't like when people, oh, you gotta go big. Like you gotta go big. I get it. I get what they're trying to say, but it's the small wins that stack up, right?
It
It's
is.
it's to try to just hit the home runs. That's to me just fruitless, right? Most people, you're just not going to hit a lot of home runs, and the home runs are going to come. They're not because you just took that one big swing. It's because you stacked up a bunch of small little wins, and then all of a sudden one of them popped into a big
Yeah.
win.
Yeah,
So
sure.
yeah, I think stacking up those wins, like you said, that compound effect, it just eventually is going to get you out of the funk or get you to wherever you want to be. That's huge.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this Rise business framework, because you started kind of diving into it. Sounded really cool. Let's talk about it. So again, what is that? What does Rise stand for?
Resource, inspiration, systems, and engagement. That's what the RISE stands for. We like to play on it though and go, we help you rise to your 100%.
Hmm,
Because that's what success is. Success is about, and in Rise, we talk about hitting your purpose. Like you have a purpose in life, your business has a purpose for why you started it. And so the goal, success of every business is when it achieves its purpose.
yeah,
So what we're looking for is defining first and foremost with our clients in Rise is what's the purpose of the organization? What are we trying to achieve? And then growing the organization, and depending on what clients are, where clients are, we do an assessment to kind of help figure out for them what stage of business they're in. Somebody can be in stage three, which is sustainability, where they're like they have a small, successful business, but like it's not, they want to take it to another level.
yeah,
And so we can, if they're in stage three, then they have resource and inspiration dialed in, but now they need systems. They need systems to dial it in and take it to the next level. Or they need engagement, which is the marketing, the brand, the messaging, the sales to take it and expand it. But every business goes through an ebb and flow of 5 stages. They go from startup, then they get into grind. You felt that stage.
oh
We all
yeah,
have. Then they get into sustainability where they start to get people around them. They start to let go without losing control. And then they get into expansion. They try to expand. And then they get into success. They fulfill their purpose. And those are the 5 stages. And then at stage five, it's like, do I sell? Do I stay in the owner's box? What does that stage look like? And helping people, maintain their identity through that stage. Because a lot of times people get lost there. But all entrepreneurs start a company for 3 reasons. They started, and this is what enters stage one for them. They have a product, they have a passion, and they can see it make profits. Those 3 things: product, passion, and profits.
yeah,
And that's it.
Yeah.
And that's whether it's a hot dog stand or buying your first real estate investment. It's you got a
Yep.
product, you got a passion, and you can see it making you money. Um, from that, we have to give it resources, right? So, what are resources? Resources are time, money, and people. Just like the tree outside my house is growing right now, it needs resources to grow. It needs sun, it needs water, it needs nutrients, but it has to have resources to grow. And so does your company. Your company has to have resources. We
Yep.
have to predetermine how much time we're going to give it to succeed or fail. We had to predetermine how much time we're going to give it to work it, how much we're going to give our time. We got to predetermine, like with a business pro forma, how much money it's going to make and how much money we're going to have to spend and how much money we're going to keep. That's what a business pro forma gives us. And then we have to determine what people do we need. Do we need VAs? Do we need employees? Do we need contractors? Do we need vendors? What people do we need to help us fulfill the resources to get this thing off the ground? So time, money, and people. Once we have the resources for the company and we're feeding it, then we have to inspire the resources. Because people need to be inspired. The Bible says there's no vision, the people perish. So we gotta have hope. We gotta have vision. We have to have inspiration. And so that's what stage two looks like. This is where we start to add long-term vision and short-term vision together. Long-term vision's meant to inspire people. Short-term vision's meant to drive results. So we have to have both. We have to have 90 days. We have to have 1 year. We have to have 3. We have to have 5. And a lot of good operating systems out there do a good job of pulling vision out of your head and putting it on paper.
Yep.
But we also have to have values that go with those visions. Values and vision are very important for inspiration. We have to have purpose. What is our purpose? And I think more importantly than just determining a company's purpose is understanding what your personal purpose is. Because here's the thing, Todd, I have 14 companies. My company's purposes individually are not my personal purpose, but they do help me achieve my personal purpose.
Yeah. How are they
And so
driving you towards it? Yeah.
what's that?
How are they drive? How does the purpose of your company drive towards your personal
Personal.
purpose? Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
And honestly, our employees need to know their personal purpose so they can see how the company is going to help them achieve their personal purpose along with our personal purpose.
That's a great point. I think, and that's probably glossed over, right? How many companies are actually talking about that to their
Not,
employees? Like,
I mean, I
what is
don't
your
even know.
personal purpose, and how is this company helping you achieve this personal purpose?
Yeah. I mean, here's the thing. When we help our customers, I'm sorry, our employees and ourselves see how the company's purpose is going to help us achieve our personal purpose, we tether.
Yeah.
We become passionate about the purpose.
Yeah.
And that's the key, right? Todd, the key is understanding your purpose. But then when we see how our personal purpose is supported or achieved by helping the company achieve its purpose, we become passionate about it.
Yep.
And then when we become passionate, we become obsessed.
Yep.
Right? We talk about obsession and how obsession is the key to reaching our goals. And you need to be obsessed in the good things of life, right?
Yeah. For sure.
You know, if you have a significant other, you should be obsessed about them.
Yeah.
If you have kids, you should be obsessed about them, right? If you have a business, you should be obsessed about them. Why? Because they help you achieve your purpose.
Yeah.
So you become passionate. Passionate creates obsession. And then obsession creates focus. You know, entrepreneurs tell me all the time, like, man, I can't stay focused. Well, that's because you're not obsessed. Well, how do I get obsessed? Become passionate. Well, how do we become passionate? Fulfill your purpose.
Purpose.
And purpose drives passion. Passion drives obsession. Obsession drives focus. And focus is an acronym. It stands for something. You know what it stands for?
Well, the one I like is follow one course until success.
Which is the next thing that happens. You find success.
Yeah.
Right? So how do we get focus? Obsession. How do we get obsession? Passion. How do we get passion? Purpose. How do we make sure the purpose is creating the passion? By tying our personal purpose back to the company's purpose. And that's where we see the magic happen. And so in Rise, we don't just help you discover your company's purpose. We help you discover your personal purpose. We help the employees discover their personal purpose. Why? Because we need a tethering. We need people yoked up. People that don't see how their personal purpose is going to be achieved by helping a company achieve its purpose are there because they have to be there.
Yeah. They're there to collect a paycheck.
Yeah.
You don't want employees that just are there to collect a paycheck.
No. And listen, People that come to work that have to be there, their productivity is never going to be
Yeah.
what we need it to be.
Yeah.
George Carlin said most people work hard enough not to get fired and get paid just enough not to quit.
Mm.
Those are half to employees.
Hmm.
But people that when you take time and you connect their personal purpose back to the company, you can help them see how they're going to achieve their personal purpose in life by being a part of this company. They want to be there.
Yeah.
And do you know that somebody who wants to work for you, their productivity goes up 64%?
Oh, I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
And they probably help drive everybody else's productivity as well,
they do.
because it's a great place to be when you've got people that actually want to work for you. That just helps the entire culture big time.
100%. And that's what culture is. Culture is when we have alignment in position. They want to do the job they want to do. We have alignment as people. They align with our values and our vision. They align with goals to the company's goals, and they align with the purpose. That's what creates culture.
Yeah.
And that's what we teach in inspiration. We teach all the things we're discussing right now, Todd, and part of that inspiration phase. But once we have resources, time, money, people, and we have inspiration, purpose, values, and vision, now we can create systems because systems allow us to let go without losing control.
Hmm.
So we have to have processes, we have to have procedures, we have to have policies, we have to have good communication structure, we have to have KPIs, and we got to be measuring the right things. In Rise, we created what we call the 4 KPI system. It's great. It's phenomenal. I've seen it literally change people's lives, not only personally, but professionally. Because what we do with the KPIs, and most people understand a KPI to be a key performance indicator, but it's more than that. It starts with that purpose. We just talked about the purpose. So, what is your key purpose indicator?
Hmm.
How are you measuring your company's purpose? How are you measuring your personal purpose?
Yeah. Good point.
If your company's purpose is to help create generational wealth, how many?
What are you doing? Yeah.
How are you measuring it?
Yeah.
So I call that our key purpose indicator.
Hmm.
Sharper's purpose is to do a good work that supports God's work. So how are we measuring that? Well, by 2026, I want to give $2.6 million to God's work. That's my key purpose indicator. That means I did enough good work to make 26 million. In return, I was able to give 10% away to God's work of 2.6.
Hmm.
That's been our goal for 10 years is how do we build up to give $2.6 million by 2026? And we're well on path to doing that. And we're excited about doing that. But then we have to create the profit indicator because purpose indicators create profit indicators. So how much money do we need to make profit indicators to be able to give 2.6 to fulfill a purpose? From that, we create what we call the performance indicators. How many clients do we have to help? How many contracts do we got to sign? Right? How many real estate transactions do we got to close on? How many houses we got to fix and flip? Those are performance indicators that give us our profits that fulfill our purpose. And probably the most important metric of them all is the process indicator. And the process indicator is your daily numbers. If you build down properly, all right, purpose, give 2.6. Profits, got to make 26 million. Performance, we got to help 300 clients a year. Process indicator, how many podcasts do I have to do a week or a day? How many consulting calls do I have to do a day? How many offers do we have to get a day? How many, new clients do we have to get? Those are process indicators that fulfill our performance, that give us our gain, our profits, that fulfill our purpose. And so we help companies build down from purpose and measure up with process, with the system. And then we create process, procedures, and policies to support those processes. And what's beautiful about that is once we have those KPIs, numbers don't lie, people do, and numbers give us confidence. And we know our numbers. When you know your purpose is being fulfilled, you know your profits are being made, you know your performance is in tune, and you know everybody's doing what they have to do every day with the process. Now you're confident, you start letting go. And then we get to the point, what I call the E quadrant. And I tell everybody, the E quadrant is the engagement quadrant, but it's also the earn the right quadrant. It's you've earned the right to expand. because you have built properly. You've gone from resource to inspiration systems. Now you've earned the right to grow and expand the business. And
Yeah.
I find a lot of people, this is where they make their mistakes, Todd, is they start a business with profits, passion, and product, and they go straight to engagement.
Yep. Yep. And that's where you hear the don't grow too fast or you grew too fast.
That's right. And I always tell people there's no such thing as growing too fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
It's just
growing wrong.
improperly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's people grow wrong. It's not that there's bad. Crumble Cookies a prime example of growing the right way. They started in 2018. They're in 964 locations around the world, around the country now, and they grew fast, but they
That's
grew the
amazing.
right way.
Yeah.
Why? Because they focused on time, money, and people first. Then they created inspirational vision, short and long term, with values and vision. Then they created systems to let go without losing control.
Yep.
And then they expanded and they
Yep.
grew their brand and their recognition around the world and country. And that's how you grow fast. And so I always tell people don't grow wrong. Because here's what happens. People go straight to engagement and they go, man, this systems, I got to get some systems in place. This is getting bigger than me. And then they go, man, like, what am I doing this for? What's my purpose? Like, am I just trying to, I was trying to make money, but now like, what's the bigger plan here? What am I trying to accomplish? And then they get around to like, man, I need more people. Right? And because I got the wrong people sitting in the wrong seats. And what happens when people do it the wrong way, they go, I want my time back. I want my time back. I want my time back. And then they go at it and they compound that and do it wrong. And they go, oh, man, now I want my money back. I want my
Yeah.
money, you know? And there's a way to keep your time and your money and grow the right way. And that's why I built Rise, because a lot of operating systems out there live in one of these five stages, but nothing really helped you through all five. And especially created the emotional paychecks for our employees and our millennial leaders that we need in that emotional paycheck. And so that's why Rise is far and beyond what other operating systems have been. And it's why it's become a bestseller on Amazon. It's why we've been able to help over 4,000 businesses with it over the last 10 years. It's why we're in 9 countries now. It's because people are grabbing a hold of this and going, this is life changing. This is different. This isn't the same old operating systems that we and our parents and our grandparents used growing up.
What are the biggest challenges right now that you see with business owners that you're working with? Is there something that a lot of them are kind of struggling with a lot of the same things, or just maybe challenges you foresee kind of in the future moving forward?
Well, I mean, outside of the standard, especially in real estate, obviously the environment's changing. Getting deals is changing. Those are some things for sure. The economy's, definitely affecting things. Higher interest rates, and now
What do you
we're
say
starting
to
to see.
that? To the we're going through that right now. I mean,
Mhm.
not that it's never been easy to find deals, right? It's always a challenge, but right now it just feels really hard to
Yeah.
find deals that work. And I, quite frankly, probably about 95% of the people that I talk to are in the same boat as me. They're like, I don't get, like, most of these deals just don't work. I don't get it. I don't, you know, I know of one company that's buying deals left and right. Nobody knows how they're buying them, but most people aren't, and they're struggling. How talk to like how do you talk to a business owner like that?
Well, I mean, it's a mindset shift. There's four reasons we don't grow. Number one is fear. Number two is mindset. Number three is connections. And last is having systems and processes, which is why we have Rise. But the mindset is one of the things that really holds entrepreneurs back. And Todd, we've been around a while. We've been doing this for a while. And the unfortunate part is we've come through the last 10 years of some pretty easy times.
Yeah,
And a
very
lot
easy.
of guys, I mean, it's been good. It's been
Mm-hmm.
really good.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of guys are just know real estate as those easy times.
Yeah.
And so the first thing starts with a mindset adjustment because the truth is, if you were to get into real estate for the first time ever this year, you wouldn't have the weights of like, this should be easier.
Mm-hmm.
You would just be like figuring it out and go, oh, man, I made money. This is good.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to get rid of like, I want my cheese back. You ever read the book, Who Moved My Cheese?
Yeah.
Good book to read right now because the
Yeah.
cheese definitely got moved,
Cheese
right?
got moved for
It
sure.
did. So now we
Quick
got to go
and
to Station
quickly.
C and we got to find new cheese.
Yeah.
So first thing is I tell your listeners, stop licking your wounds. Stop being like, woe is me. Stop making statements saying this is too hard, this isn't working, I can't find deals, because statements close your mind, questions open the mind,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which is why I love podcasts. Todd, you're on here, you're learning every day because you're asking questions, so you're opening
Yep.
your mind to new opportunities. Most people don't do that, Todd. Most people just go, this is too hard. This isn't what it used to be. I want my cheese back. I want my cheese back. I want my cheese back. I go read the book and move my cheese because that's what's happened in real estate. We've moved cheese, but it's not that it's not there. It's just it's taking a lot more money to get the deals. And so when you see guys that are doing a lot of my clients, I coach top 5% real estate investors in the country. I mean, I coach Ryan Pineda, I coach Tiffany and Josh High, I coach Thatch Nugent. I mean, these guys have millions of followers and I'm their business coach. And I'll tell you, the reason why they're still thriving is because they outspend a lot of people,
Hmm.
right? And it's not because it's any easier for them. It's just we know that now it takes 100 leads
Yeah.
to get 20 qualified leads
Oh yeah.
to get 10 appointments that you might want to go on to get 2 contracts,
Yeah.
right?
You might be a little bit generous there, but yeah.
I'm being generous. I'm being generous. And just and here's the thing, it's people aren't measuring their marketing channels well enough right now.
Mm,
And so where I literally have a spreadsheet I can share with you that we need to be measuring the ROAS on each marketing channel we have, and we need to have 3 major ponds that we're dipping in and fishing in, and then need to have 3 R&D ponds that we can constantly pull up and shift the money around. The problem is, Todd, a lot of people get stuck in their old ways of this is how I've always marketed, this is how I've always done it. And that's what I'm seeing right now. I've got a friend of mine who's been doing real estate for 24 years, and he's going, man, I don't want to do this other ways of marketing because I don't want to do the TV. I don't want to do cold calling. I don't want to do, this and that. I just want to send my mail like I've been doing it for 20 years, and I want people to call me motivated. I'm like, buddy, that's not how it works anymore.
no, yeah.
And they're not realizing that they need to change up the process. It's called process immunity. What worked before doesn't work anymore. But here's the one thing I can tell you. It still works. You just got to make the adjustments to your business.
Yeah.
The System 60s meeting we talk about Rise, where we go out and we pull the process apart and we put it back together again and we refine it and we figure out why it's not working, is what a lot of our customers need and what we use with them to help them adjust to get their flow again. And so it's not that it's not there. It's just harder. And you got to be willing to spend more and spend more time, money, and people, put more people on to get the same results that you were getting before. And the truth is, people become a little bit lazy in that regard. They're like, man, I want my cheese back. I want it easy again.
Yeah, well, you got so used to be able to find deals a specific way, and it worked, and
It did.
it became easy. It's just that the system was down, right? And so you don't want to change the system because the system was down. But what you're saying is no, you got to start thinking different ways.
You do. And you got to change the system.
Yeah.
Process immunity happens regularly. I can tell you, based on the clients I coach, every 90 days, we see one of the 3 marketing channels disappear. And they got to bring up a different way of doing it for the next 90 days.
Hmm.
And so that's what people aren't doing a very good job of is they're not measuring their ROAS per marketing channel, the return on ad spend or return on investment. And we need it at a 3x or higher. And so when we're dropping below a 3x, then you're not getting enough in your pipeline. If you're not getting enough in your pipeline, you're not going to get enough return.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm seeing a lot of times. So people have to be R&D in 3 ponds and having 3 active ponds that they're fishing in with marketing, or they're never going to get leads and they're never going to get enough to convert. And the conversion rates, like they just have to get better at it.
Yeah.
And then there are guys who just, they're not actually not good at sales. The deal sold themselves in 2018 to 2022. And now they're like, oh, I suck at sales. No, you do. You actually do suck at sales. And so it's like, well, I was crushing it before. Well, I mean, that's because the market was generous to you. It's not
Yeah.
generous to you anymore.
Yeah, you
So,
got it wasn't that you were good before, it was that the market was good.
yeah.
Now you have to be good.
I've been telling people for the last year, teams that are good will be gone. Teams that are great will be good.
Hmm.
And if you're not willing to make yourself great at real estate right now, you're going to be gone.
Hmm.
And the ones that are great, we're more than happy to take your share of the leads that they weren't getting from you being in the business.
Yep.
So it's a matter of focus. Great movie here, McDonald's movie, The Founder. Have you ever seen that movie?
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It is. And they go out to the tennis court and they redesign their process when things aren't working.
Yep.
You know why they did that, Todd? You know why they went out to the tennis court and they redesigned three different times the processes and created the speedy system? You know why they did that?
I don't remember that part of the movie.
I
I'm
don't
gonna have
think
to watch it again.
I don't know that they actually depicted it in the movie, but here's
Okay.
why. They had a purpose, and their purpose indicator was 1 billion served.
Hmm.
You remember that underneath the McDonald's
Yeah.
arches for years? 1 billion
Yep.
served?
Yep.
The McDonald's brothers wanted to put a hamburger in the hands of 1 billion people.
It's amazing.
And they couldn't do that. And so you know what they did? They measured their process indicators and they said a process indicator is how fast we serve the hamburger.
Hmm.
The performance indicator was how many did we serve. The profit indicator was how much money they made per hamburger to fulfill the purpose of 1 billion hamburgers served. And so what they did was they went out to the tennis court because their process indicator said it took 30 minutes to serve a hamburger and they needed it down to 30 seconds.
Hmm.
There was no way they were going to fulfill their purpose, so they didn't adjust the system, the process. And
Yep.
that's when the speedy system was born that multiple different organizations use today to speed up their process. They could have died with the old system.
Yep.
And then your entrepreneurs today that are listening real estate, you can die too. Survival is not mandatory. It's not. If you're not willing to adjust your systems, your processes, evaluate them, take it out to the tennis court and map it out and figure out the better ways to get to your leads, then you're never going to survive.
Love it.
And that's what I see right now a lot. I see a mindset shift right now that needs to happen with entrepreneurs in real estate because they're trying to hold on to the cheese that still fed them for the years behind. And I honestly would recommend highly that they'd either go to YouTube and watch him and her and Sniff and Scurry in Who Moved My Cheese and a funny little cartoon commercial or read the book because the book's phenomenal at readjusting your mindset to like, I need to look at different ways of doing this at this point.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great advice. I love that. Appreciate it. Um,
Absolutely.
Man, Gary, this has been awesome. I could keep I could keep going for another,
Me too.
couple hours, but I got a I got a couple questions I want to ask you before we
Sure.
wrap up. I know you wrote a lot of books. How can our listeners get to your books? You've got um, the Rise Business Framework book, and several others. How can our listeners get to your books?
Well, the Rise Business Framework is a book that's a tactical, like
Yep.
almost teacher's guide. So it's not meant to really read cover to cover. It's meant to be a curriculum type book where you can, like, if you want to learn about finance,
Like a
go to page 61.
textbook.
It is. It's
Yeah.
on Audible. It's on Amazon. So you can listen to it, or you can go download it and on your Kindle, or you can just buy it on Amazon. So there's three different ways there to get it. The other book that I've written is called A Purpose to Rise. It's a fable. It's a fun read. And it's about a real estate entrepreneur who implements the Rise business framework, hires Reggie Singers, his business coach, to come in and help him implement it, and how he scales his real estate company implementing it. So that's a fun read. I always recommend people start there and kind of get the flavor for it. That is also on Audible. Susan, my wife, actually read that book
Hmm.
on Audible, so you can hear her. She helped write it and read it. And then we also have the Is Your Business Sick book that's on Amazon. And that's a book that kind of ties my story of Lyme disease and understanding how parasites destroy the body, but then also how to help you identify parasites in your life and business that you need to get rid of in order to be healthy. And so that book's out there. I have other books as well, but those are the ones. And then probably one of my favorite here is the Penny the Purposeful Panda, which is my children's book on
Hmm.
and talks about how to discover your purpose. And so I got a lot of young kids out there reading that book right now. It's the book from like age, born to like 5 years old. It's kind of the age group that I see a lot of kids buy that book and their parents reading it to them. It's a fun little kids book to read. But those are the books I have, and the best way to get a hold of them is just Amazon or Audible. They're both on
Okay.
there.
Awesome. Gary, what's a favorite book besides your own that you can recommend to our listeners?
That's good. I read about 3 books a week. So that's a
Wow.
hard question to answer. So I'll give you a couple. Okay. The Extreme Ownership, Leadership. That's a
Yeah,
great
it's a
book.
great book.
Love that. I'm John Maxwell certified. So anything John Maxwell would be good. I also like, we talked about Who Moved My Cheese. I think it's a relative book right now for
Yep.
people that are struggling with mindset. And then the Compound Effect.
Mm.
Compound Effect is one that I had my son read when he was 12. one of the books I really like, and good friends with a guy named Dan Martell. I don't know if you know Dan or not, but Dan Martell's got a book called Buy Back Your Time, and we
Yeah.
share a lot of same philosophies in that book. He honestly just beat me to the punch of writing it because I was going to write the exact same book. But I love Dan Martell. We actually got to speak together. Ryan Pineda had a WealthCon last year, and I spoke, and then Dan spoke right after me.
Okay.
And he's a phenomenal human being. He really is. So we'll follow him and then look at his stuff. He's got a really good book there with Buy Back Your Time.
Cool. Cool. Love it. I listen to Dan. Dan's got his own podcast. I listen to quite a
Yeah,
few of his episodes. So
yeah,
love his stuff.
that's great.
All right, Gary, what are your three pillars of wealth creation?
Wealth creation for me is freedom of time, freedom of money, and freedom of relationships. So that's wealth for me. And then the three pillars is relationships, money, and time. And so when I find that people have wealth, they honor and keep their relationships healthy. When people have wealth, they honor and keep their financials healthy. And when people have wealth, they honor and keep their time healthy.
Yeah.
And so those are the three pillars for me of wealth. And I think there's more than that for sure, but I
Yeah.
keep those three in my focus at all times and I protect them at all costs.
Yeah. Usually when I talk about my three pillars of wealth creation, I always expand about six or seven. So yeah, there's definitely more, but
There definitely is. Yep. You asked for
yeah,
three, so
I
there you
asked for
go.
three, so I limited you. But Gary, look, man, I really appreciate this. This has been fun.
Been fun.
Listeners, you got to reach out to Gary. You got to check out what he's got going on. How can our listeners get in touch with you, learn more? Where do they go?
Well, I mean, there are a couple of different ways. One is information. So, how do you get more information? Obviously, the books. You can go on TikTok and follow me there. You can go on Instagram, follow me there. YouTube, follow me there. All Gary Harper, official Gary Harper. You can follow me on those platforms. I think on TikTok it's called Mr. Business. You can follow me on that. But the other ways is sharperbusiness.com. That's our website. If you're looking for implementation and not information, right? We don't just give information when we're hired to work with teams. We help them implement in a very strategic way. We don't just come in and drop knowledge. We have an in the business coach. We have an on the business coach. We have meeting moderators and process experts. And we help people implement and create scalable companies. We don't just teach them out. We actually get in it with them to help them grow it. So we always focus on implementation over information. And one warning I'll give your listeners here as we get out: stop paying for information. Information's free, right? And don't hire a teacher that calls himself a coach because teachers have information to give. They don't have experience.
Yeah.
Coaches have experience. And so I always tell people, don't pay coaching pricing for teaching and don't pay for information. It's free these days. So, but if you want coaching, if you want experience, if you want someone who's been there, done that, failed and succeeded, then you looking for a coach. And that's what we do at Sharper Business Solutions, sharperbusiness.com.
Yeah, no, I really like that last piece of advice. There's so much free information that you can get, and so don't pay for a teacher because you can get that information.
Mhm.
But if you want help with implementation, that's where you pay the coach that's going to actually help you implement. Big difference between
Yeah.
just
Huge.
what you can learn from a book, podcast, all that kind of stuff. So,
Or ChatGPT.
or chat GPT.
Hey, if you want a ChatGPT, I have a Coach Gary ChatGPT. You can ask it all kinds of questions, programmed after all me and my books, but it still is not going to give you coaching.
Yeah, it's not the implementation. So
Yeah.
love it.
All
Gary,
right.
again, really
Thanks,
appreciate you.
Todd.
You have a fantastic rest of the day.
Thank you, my friend.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. Say, I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So
The other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out. And we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.